EA Sports. It's in the game. I can't believe it. They pulled it out. What a call. What a play. What a game.
You gotta choose. You like the top or you just like to lose. Make a move. Been at the bottom, I got the proof. You gotta choose. You like the top or you just like to lose. Make a move. Been at the bottom, I got the proof. You gotta choose. Yeah, I jump out the booth. Then I might hop through the roof. Count on the rings. My team is the truth, but they some liars to you. And they never sing, but they always shoot. And all of their diamonds are new. And that's why I'm here a villain, cause I really get it. And I need all my honeys in blue. You gotta choose. You like the top or you just like to lose. Make a move. Been at the bottom, I got the proof. You gotta choose. You like the top or you just like to lose.
This is a special presentation of EA Sports from the Coliseum in Oakland. Our tribute. One time for old times. What do you say we play some football as we are underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, they drafted 30 rounds then.
Now, Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp, actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles, with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And it was there, during that time, I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
Brady to throw on second down. Oh, into a sea of defenders and intercepted. Picked off by Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, timing is everything on a route like this. He tried to drive that football into a tight spot. And if you're a little early or a little late, chances are there's going to be someone there. And sure enough, this one's going the other way.
The NFC offense coming out here, and you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is always smiling. He's always laughing. He's always talking to someone. He remembers this. And if it's a game, you should have fun.
And Brandon, that always reminds me of a great movie line where one of the players was telling the coach, every time I say it's a game, you say it's a business. And every time I say it's a business, you say it's a game. With Coach, it was always a game.
Extra point by Anderson, up and good. And it's now a 7-0 game. Well, the offense wasn't out there for a long time, but they were out there for a good time. One play, and they're able to hit pay dirt. This one taken just inside the 10. And not much happening on the return as he'll get this to about the 23.
Holding, repeating.
So already not the best to kick returns there, but that penalty, that adds insult to injury and backs him up even closer to the goal line.
Yeah, not ideal field position to begin a drive, is it? Because the extra pressure now goes on the offense. They've got to get some early yards and get away from the shadow of their own goalposts. What every offense wants to do in this situation, get 2 first downs to help out with field position at the least.
Well, Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon. Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. They had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. So 10 seasons as a head coach. The Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times. And he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root. As did the expression of commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stabler, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about those great linemen he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And guys on the defensive side of the ball, the man stork himself, Ted Hendricks.
The AFC with a football here to begin the second quarter, as they've got it with a 1st and 10. Now a carry for Allen. Down to about the 37. Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out near the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. But might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. 3 River Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball,
trying for Brown, and it's intercepted. Picked up by Jalen Ramsey, and his guys will take over at the 30-yard line. Well, that one was in the air for an agonizingly long time.
Just begging to be picked off, wasn't it? It's one thing if you're throwing a ball like that, trying to throw someone open or lead them into an area. But that ball needed to be thrown with a lot more conviction. As a result, it's an easy interception.
And they'll get it up just short of the 45 at the 44. The CD, we spoke of some of the Raiders' tough playoff losses through the decade of the 70s, but for one shining season, they put it all together, and that was 1976. You remember a 13-1 regular season, a memorable playoff win over New England. They dominated the Steelers 24-7 in the AFC title game, and then a meeting with the Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl 11.
Oh, Brandon, what a game that was down at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. A gorgeous 53-degree day, perfect for football. Raiders got out to a 16-0 lead at the half, and Clarence Davis, no relation, although I would certainly claim him, strong on the ground, 137 yards rushing. How about Freddie Blitnikoff, the MVP of that game, catching everything that came his way? Kenny Stabler running the offense with precision, and we all remember the one that sealed it, the grand old man himself, Willie Brown, with the laser-focused eyes, picking off Fran Tarkenton and taking it 75 yards for a touchdown. 32-14 the final score. Raiders had their first Super Bowl title, and we got the iconic shot of Coach Madden being lifted on the shoulder pads of his players and carried aloft as a Super Bowl champion.
They'll come to the line, needing only 2 yards to gain the first here. Now Favre tries for Rice, intercepted. And now off to the races down the right side. And he is going to score. It's a pick six and an AFC touchdown. So they had a good drive going, a chance to build on this first half lead, but now you kind of feel like we got a new ball game.
And you wonder what the discussion will be now at halftime, because I think we were headed towards one. Now it's a different discussion altogether. One side optimistically, the other side wondering what could have been.
Now Adam Vinatieri for the point after. It's up and good, and we're tied at 7 here in quarter number 2. Heck of a play there defensively, getting the interception, navigating his way into the end zone for the touchdown. So all even at 7 now as they kick it away. Taken in at the 3. And taken down just past the 20 at about the 21-yard line. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. There was still more than a minute to go in the half. Time to try to mount a drive.
And I would think that they would.
And now this is intercepted. My goodness. Rod Woodson with a pick. And he is going to score. It's a pick six and an AFC touchdown. For the defense, they were all over that. As soon as that ball was in the air, it was dangerous. Not only was it intercepted, CD, but they return it for the touchdown.
Yeah, and he read that the entire way. He was reacting before other players had a chance to react themselves. Had the determination to say, this just won't be a pick. It's going to be 6 points as he takes it the other way to the end zone.
Vinatieri connecting on the extra point, and that makes the score 14-7. So the defense creating some points, not only getting the interception, but then returning it to the end zone for the pick six. So they throw the pick six. They'll get another shot at it now as this one's in the air. Taken in at the 3. And he won't get this to the 20-yard line as he's down at the 19. The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. Charles, we'll see what they can do here. Not a ton of time left, but enough certainly to get points out of this drive, and they need them right now because they're trailing.
Yeah, this is exactly why you practice a 2-minute drill all through camp and at least one practice each week before a game. A minute left, more than enough time to string a few completions together, reach the end zone, and then make that walk back to the locker room just a little more animated.
On second down, Favre. Over the middle, complete. It's Rice. And he'll be corralled right around the 34. Now the NFC going to call the first of their 3 timeouts as they'll stop it with a tick under a minute to go before half. From the 34 now, here's 1st and 10. From the shotgun, it's Favre. Now, quick throw there going to be batted away and incomplete. So, Charles, after that Super Bowl title in the 76 season, the Raiders again advanced to the AFC Championship game the following year, but they fell to the Denver Broncos on New Year's Day by a field goal, and that ended their chances for back-to-back titles. And then in 1978, after missing out on the playoffs in that season, John Madden, he actually stepped down as coach of the Raiders January 4th, 1979.
Yeah, and that was a surprise for the league because remember, Brandon, he coached 10 seasons in the NFL, but he'd put everything he had into the Oakland Raiders, into being a head football coach, into guiding, mentoring, loving his players. And he just sort of felt like it was the right time to step away. And even though he was just 42 when he left, even though there would be overtures for return to coaching in the future, many overtures, he never returned to the sideline.
Even though he didn't, we all know his work with the NFL was far from finished, and a lot of chapters of the John Madden story were still left to be written. Now, the AFC making their way out, and it's one of Coach's favorites, another local guy, Tom Brady, who will be at the controls. And boy, Coach always admired the way number 12 could run an offense, and especially his ability to stay calm under pressure.
Tom Brady is a guy who's always looking downfield. He never looks at the rush. He hangs in the pocket, and he makes a throw. He's a cool guy. He's a tough guy. Let me tell you, there's no one calmer in the pocket than Tom Brady.
And I know that Coach has a great appreciation for Tom Brady. He turned 45 back on August 3rd because Coach coached a guy like him in George Blanda, who played a long time in the NFL. In this game, it features legends and active players. Tom Brady qualifies as both.
Now on 2nd and 13. Brady is going to float this one deep right side. And he bats it away, and it falls down incomplete.
One thing that offensive guys stress when they throw the deep ball, you're just counting on your receiver to find it, adjust before the defensive back can get his head around. In this case, though, the DB matched it move for move and knocked it away.
This time they stay on the ground, and they will get to him behind the line, but the clock continues to tick down, and they're going to take a timeout defensively. So with 4th down coming up, they go ahead and burn it and say we'll see what happens. On is the Hall of Famer Ray Guy to punt this away on 4th down. That'll be a 41-yard punt, just 1 yard on the return. And there'll be time for maybe one final play before halftime. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. 1 second, all that remains. He's going to take a shot at the end zone. Why not? And that's going to be caught. Touchdown NFC. Randy Moss, as time expires in the first half. And the NFC strikes quickly for 6. Extra point by Anderson, up and good. And that will take it. So we are at halftime of the John Madden Legacy game. And now we present a special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by the Raiders' own Trey Mosley. The AFC going to get the football first here as we are back underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game. And a decent return out to the 27-yard line. The AFC offense heading back out. You know, Charles, Coach really loved to utilize his tight ends in the passing game. You think about Dave Casper, Hall of Famer for those great Raider teams. And I think he saw a lot of Dave Casper in an all-Madden staple, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is the type of tight end I think everyone's looking for. He's the guy that can make some big plays from that tight end position. Let me tell you, you better make sure you have him accounted for on every play.
And that's exactly right, because Dave Casper, he could shred defenses down the middle of the field. And that's exactly what Tony Gonzalez did in his entire career. A 14-time Pro Bowl selection. Only Tom Brady has more. There's 6 guys in the 15,000-yard receiving club. He's the only tight end in there. Tony Gonzalez, every snap, you had to know where he was because he could make plays short, medium, and long, and often put the ball in the end zone.
So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42. He just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember, he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
Officially no gain on the play, and it's second down. Looked like he was trying to bounce it outside, but no success.
Yeah, sometimes you got to just figure out where you're going to go, and sometimes you just have to take it to another spot. And trying to get it outside, the defensive pursuit was there and just ran him down.
Well, that's complete to the fullback, Ricard. And he'll be out of bounds, taking it just shy of the 10 at the 11 or the 12. 4 yards the gain, and it'll bring up a third down.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the next step in utilizing this position is to actually utilize more of a scat back in this spot, because we saw the catch there, right? He made it. He was a bigger, stronger guy, maybe not quite as elusive as maybe someone else you would put there.
Yeah, didn't get the big yardage there you might out of a smaller back. And it's intercepted at the goal line. Picked up by Jalen Ramsey. Well, they were in a great position to take the lead, Charles. Obviously, all they needed was a field goal to do that. They wanted the touchdown. Unfortunately, they're going to get neither.
And you know every offense talks about the same thing each week, don't they, Brandon? They want to end every drive with a kick, whether it's a field goal attempt, a point after the touchdown, or at worst, a punt. This time they had that opportunity but didn't get it, because you know the field shrinks that close to the end zone, and that allows a defense to tighten up their coverage, and they picked that one off.
Second down, and back they go to Sanders. And he'll be brought down right at the 30 here. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they've been able to call 8 Super Bowls together, but how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you talk about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the All-Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitchman.
Back now here on EA Sports. All square, 14 apiece to score as we get ready for the 4th quarter. On 1st and 10, it's Sanders. And nothing doing. He's immediately taken down at the line of scrimmage. Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for. It's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 90s. And he fumbled it. It's on the ground. And I think the AFC came up with that. They did. AFC Football.
Well, so much for the 4-minute offense. They were trying to reduce the clock, get in position to win the game, and leave no time for them to come back and catch them. And guess what? They turned the ball over. Yeah, I mean, they had it all set up for themselves, and they let it get away.
The offense for the AFC set to go now. Trying to shake off the interception from the last drive. He'll look to throw. So, CD, you look at the accumulation of John Madden's achievements in the world of football, the coaching success, the Super Bowl title, the incredible career as a broadcaster with 12 Emmy Awards, Madden the video game. It was very fitting back in 2006 that John Madden got the call to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
A more deserving person you will not find. He gave an incredible speech on that day, Brandon. So many of his former Raider players were in attendance. He talked about how he envisioned that when the last person turns off the lights in the hall every night, that the bus talk football amongst themselves. And what a discussion that might be.
Yeah, he finished his speech by saying, "Today feels like the second time in my life that I'm being carried off on the shoulders of others. Yet instead of off the field, it's into the Hall of Fame. This has been the sweetest ride of them all."
He only gave them an instant to react. It was a classic case of if you blink, you missed him. Off the line and to the quarterback in just a couple of seconds. Running back only had a moment to react and attempt to throw a block.
Brady's throw into the hands of Gonzalez here. And they'll wind up getting this one all the way down inside the 20. That one a gain of 20 and a first down. What a game it's been. Neither side giving an inch. 2 minutes to go. All time in the John Madden Legacy game. So the AFC with the football as we welcome you back. So the ball down to the 16 here for 1st and 10. Now Allen. And this has been a familiar sight all afternoon as they stop him behind the line. Tackle for loss by Lawrence Taylor.
Partner, you've got about 20 coaches on your payroll, but there's 60,000 of them in the stands. I don't think any of them like that play.
And the later we go, it's starting to sound like 100,000 in here. That loss of 3, a rare stumble on a promising drive. Here's 2nd and 13. They stay on the ground with Allen. And he'll get this one down to about the 17. Now the NFC going to call the first of their 3 timeouts as they'll head to the sideline and talk over what to do next. Now play number 7 of the drive as they're looking at a 3rd and 10. Now Brady. And that is caught for an AFC touchdown. Tony Gonzalez from 17 yards out as his guys have taken the lead here in the final 2 minutes.
Hey, that score deserves our respect, deserves our excitement. But I'm looking at the clock, and I'm thinking there's a long way to go in this one.
Ideally, they would have liked to milk a little bit more time off. Now on the other sideline, you start to get the crew together and This is what we practiced a 2-minute drill for, right?
Yeah, you hope you've been in that situation before, and if you haven't, you just have the confidence, hey, let's go down there and get this thing done. But, boy, that's a big score right there to give them the advantage.
Vinatieri able to tack on the PAT, and the lead is now 21-14. Vinatieri now to kick it away after the touchdown. Taken in at the 3. And able to get this across the 20, but not much further as he's dropped at the 23-yard line. The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. Last time out, they had the fumble. That led to the touchdown. Not a great look on either side of the ball as the defense gave up the points too, Charles. But they've got to take care of the football and do better here on this possession.
It's certainly been a tough stretch, partner, for both of those units, and they kind of put their defensive mates in a really tough spot there by dropping the ball on the ground. But an easy way to make it up to them, get out there now and get some points on this drive.
Now the NFC going to take a timeout, their second, as they'll stop it with a little over 30 ticks to go in the football game. Back-to-back good plays have them on the move on first down. Back to throw. That'll be caught. It's Cup. And he's going to be taken down at about the 33. Now the offense will burn their third and final timeout as the clock will stop with an even 20 seconds left to go. Tell you what, he's been able to put the ball in some tight spots all game long. That throw, no different.
Yeah, a lot of people would call it a gutsy type of a throw. I think he looks at it as, I can do it, so it's not that big of a deal to me. I'm going to keep firing.
Throwing on first down, but this one winds up to be incomplete.
Well, I think we were both wondering if we were going to see them try and push it deep downfield, facing a one-possession deficit late, and they certainly didn't disappoint. They gave it an effort.
They'll look to throw. Looking for the out route. He's got it. Complete to Kittle. And he's going to be out down inside the 20 and the 15. It's a pickup of 17 and a first down. And he did exactly what they needed him to do, Charles. Got out of bounds. They have no timeouts.
And they knew that before the play even began. Still executed it. How many times have we seen it happen where you know it, yet a guy's still looking for a timeout or trying to stay in bounds? He got it done.
And they're not able to complete it. Now just 6 seconds remain. Time for one, maybe two more plays. He's back to throw. He's going to drop this down to Sanders. And he's able to work it here to the 8-yard line. So it's a win here for the AFC on an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. Before we go, one final message. And for all of us at EA Sports, this one's for you, Coach.